My girlfriend said, "You're paying for Marcus's trip." I replied, "For mine." Then I moved my money, canceled every shared card, packed my bag and left overnight, and I smiled, because she found my note saying Marcus is single now and so is she. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. There is a specific kind of loneliness that only exists when you are lying in your own bed next to your girlfriend, listening to her giggle on the phone with another man at 100 a.m. He's just going through a lot right now. Qley would whisper to me, shielding the screen of her phone like she was protecting state secrets. He needs support. Don't be that guy. That guy was me. The insecure boyfriend, the jealous tyrant, the man who didn't understand the sacred platonic bond between a woman and her male best friend. His name was Marcus. And if you looked up failure to launch in the dictionary, you'd see his smug, patchy bearded face. Marcus was 28, unemployed by choice. He called it consulting and functionally living on my couch. I paid the rent for our 2-bedroom apartment in the city. I paid the utilities. I filled the fridge with organic groceries because Qley insisted we eat clean, and Marcus consumed it. I'd come home from a 10-hour shift at the architecture firm to find Marcus barefoot on my coffee table playing my PlayStation, eating the meal prep I had made for my lunch the next day. "Yo, op," he'd say, not even pausing the game. "We're out of Elroy. We are out." When I brought this up to Qley, she treated me like I had kicked a puppy. "Marcus is sensitive," she'd say, her eyes wide with manufactured disappointment. "He doesn't have the privileges you have. You have a career. You have stability. He's an artist. He feels things deeply. Why can't you just be generous? Why does everything have to be a transaction with you?" That was her favorite weapon, labeling my boundaries as transactional. If I asked why Marcus didn't chip in for the pizza he ordered on my account, transactional. If I asked why he needed to be in our living room 6 nights a week, possessive for 2 years, I swallowed it. I loved Qley. Or at least I loved who Qley was when Marcus wasn't around. She was vibrant, funny, and ambitious. But the moment Marcus texted, usually some crisis about a girl not texting him back or his landlord threatening eviction, she transformed. She became his mother, his therapist, and his savior. I became the wallet. The dynamic was simple. I funded the life. Marcus enjoyed the lifestyle. I bought the nice whiskey. Marcus drank it while explaining to Qley why modern capitalism was a scam. I paid for the streaming services. Marcus used my profile because he didn't want to mess up his algorithm. I tried to set boundaries. "No, Marcus, after 10 p.m., I said once. Qley looked at me with cold detachment. "He's like a brother to me. If you can't handle my family, you can't handle me." It's embarrassing to admit how long I let that slide. I convinced myself I was being the good guy. I was the stable provider. I was the rock. Marcus was just a phase, a charity case that she would eventually outgrow when we got married and moved forward. But you don't outgrow a parasite. You just get drained until there's nothing left. The breaking point didn't come with a bang. It didn't happen because I caught them in bed together. It happened on a Tuesday over something as trivial as a bonus check and a breakup. I had just landed the biggest commission of my career. It was a massive commercial project I'd been grinding on for 6 months. The bonus was significant enough to clear my student loans, or as I had secretly planned, put a down payment on a house for us. A house where ideally Marcus wouldn't have a key. I came home early, a bottle of expensive champagne in hand, ready to celebrate. I wanted to take Qley to dinner. I wanted to talk about our future. Instead, I walked into a funeral parlor. The apartment was dark. The TV was off. Qley was sitting on the floor in the living room, surrounded by used tissues, rocking back and forth. My stomach dropped. I thought someone had died. "Qley," I dropped my bag. "Baby, what's wrong? Is it your mom?" She looked up, her mascara running down her cheeks, her face red and blotchy. She looked devastated, truly deeply broken. "It's Marcus," she choked out. I paused. The adrenaline in my veins turned into cold sludge. "Is he hurt?" "Vanessa dumped him," she wailed, burying her face in her hands. She kicked him out. She said he was a loser. She humiliated him publicly on Instagram. He's at a bar right now, and he says he doesn't see the point of anything anymore. I stood there, the champagne bottle growing heavy in my hand. Marcus had been dating Vanessa for 3 weeks, and Qley was reacting like he had been diagnosed with a terminal illness. Okay, I said, trying to keep the edge out of my voice. That sucks for him, but he'll get over it. It was 3 weeks, Qley. Her head snapped up. The sadness vanished, replaced instantly by a glare of pure venom. You have the emotional range of a teaspoon, she spat. He is broken. He has abandonment issues. Vanessa was his soulmate. Vanessa was paying his phone bill, I muttered. Excuse me. Qley stood up, closing the distance between us. My best friend is in crisis. He is suicidal. He is alone. And you're standing there making jokes. I'm not making jokes. I came home to celebrate. I got the bonus. Her eyes lit up. Not with pride for me, but with calculation. It was a look I hadn't seen before, or maybe I had just refused to see it. It was the look of a predator spotting a wounded animal. You got the bonus, she asked, her voice dropping to a whisper. Yeah, it's confirmed. She wiped her face, sniffed, and nodded as if a plan had just slotted into place in her mind. She grabbed her phone and typed something furiously, probably to Marcus. Then she looked at me, her face composed, her tone oddly formal. Good, she said, because we need to fix this. I set the champagne down on the counter. The joy of my promotion had evaporated, replaced by a tight knot in my chest. Fix what, Qley? Marcus, she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. He needs to get away. He needs a reset. The city is toxic for him right now. Every corner reminds him of Vanessa. He met her on Tinder 3 weeks ago. I reminded her they went to like 2 bars. She ignored me. I've been looking at flights. Cabo or maybe Tulum, somewhere with a wellness center. He needs yoga, son, and no reception, a digital detox. I blinked. Okay, well, if he has the money for that, he should go. Qley laughed. It was a dry, condescending sound. He doesn't have money, op. He's an artist. Vanessa kicked him out. He's literally homeless as of an hour ago. So where's he staying? I asked, dreading the answer. Here, obviously, on the couch. Until we leave. I seized on the word. Yes, we, she said, pacing the room now, her energy manic. I promised him I wouldn't let him go through this alone. I told him we would take him away. A best friend trip to heal. She stopped pacing and turned to me, hands on her hips. And since you just got that bonus, it's perfect timing. The universe is providing. I stared at her. The silence stretched out between us, thick and suffocating. I waited for the punchline. I waited for her to say, I'm kidding. Let's go get dinner. Let me get this straight, I said, my voice dangerously calm. You want to take Marcus on a vacation and you want me to pay for it. I want us to go on a vacation, she corrected, her tone sharp. To support him, and yes, you're paying. You make 3 times what I make and you just got a windfall. It's the least you can do after how unsupportive you've been of his art lately. I bought his art, I said. I paid $500 for that canvas that looks like a coffee stain. You're doing it again, she shouted, keeping score. Money is just energy, opie. It flows right now. Marcus needs flow. I promised him. I already told him not to worry about the cost because you'd handle it. The audacity hit me like a physical slap. She had already promised my money to another man, a man who treated me with barely concealed contempt. And where do I fit into this trip? I asked. Am I sharing a room with you, or is Marcus sleeping in our bed because he has night terrors? She rolled her eyes. Don't be gross. We'll get a suite. You can do your whatever you do. Read your books. Sit by the pool. Marcus and I will need a lot of one-on-one time for him to process the trauma. You just need to be there to facilitate, to be the rock like you always say you are. Facilitate. That was the word that did it. I wasn't a boyfriend, I wasn't a partner, I was logistics. I was the funding committee for her emotional affair. She didn't want me there. She wanted my credit card there. If she could have taken the visa and left me at home, she would have. I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the entitlement etched into her pretty features. I saw the complete lack of respect. She wasn't asking me for a favor. She was demanding tribute. She genuinely believed that my purpose on this earth was to subsidize the man she actually respected. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap. It wasn't an explosion. It was the sound of a heavy tether finally being cut. The anger that had been simmering for 2 years didn't boil over. It froze. It turned into a sheet of ice, clear and hard. I realized with absolute clarity that the woman standing in front of me didn't love me. She loved the safety I provided. And right now, she was trying to loot the safe before running off with the bandit. I looked at the champagne bottle on the counter. I looked at the PS5 controller on the coffee table that was greasy from Marcus' fingers. I looked at Qley, waiting expectantly for me to cave, just like I always did. I forced the corners of my mouth up. It felt mechanical, but she didn't notice. She never looked closely enough to notice. "You're right," I said. Qley blinked, surprised by the lack of a fight. "I am." "Yeah," I said, my voice steady. "I've been selfish. Marcus is going through hell. He deserves a break. We all do." Her face transformed. She clapped her hands together and literally squealed. She ran over and hugged me, not a warm hug, but a possessive one, like a child hugging a brand new toy. "Oh my God, thank you. I knew you'd understand. I knew you weren't actually a jerk." She pulled away, already pulling up Expedia on her phone. "I'm thinking Cabo, the resort at Betrayal. It's 5 stars, but Marcus needs luxury right now to feel valued." "Book it," I said. "But let me handle the flights. I have those frequent flyer miles, remember? I can get us first class." "First class?" Her jaw dropped. "Oh pie you are. Oh my God. Marcus is going to freak out. He's never flown first class. He deserves the best." I said I need to call him. She was practically vibrating. "He's at the bar. I'm going to go pick him up and tell him the good news. Can we order sushi for when he gets here?" "He loves Annie. Go get him," I said. "I'll handle everything here." "You're the best," she said, grabbing her keys. She didn't kiss me. She just grabbed her purse and sprinted out the door to go save her prince. The door clicked shut. The silence returned to the apartment. I walked over to the door and locked the deadbolt. Then I walked to the kitchen, opened the champagne and poured myself a glass. I took a long, slow sip. It tasted like clarity. The resort at Betrayal, I whispered to myself. Sounds nice. I pulled out my laptop. I opened my banking app. I transferred half of our joint savings, the exact amount I had contributed over the last 2 years, into my personal external account. I removed my card from the Uber Eats account. I removed it from the Amazon account. I canceled the Spotify family plan. Then I went to the airline website. I booked a ticket for the date she wanted. First class, window seat, 1 passenger, destination, Tokyo. I had always wanted to see Japan. Qley hated the idea because she didn't like raw food and thought anime was for children. Marcus, of course, agreed with her. I finished the glass of champagne. Then I went to the bedroom and pulled down my largest suitcase. I didn't have much time. She would be back with Marcus in maybe 2 hours, drunk on victory and expecting premium sushi. I didn't plan on being there when they arrived, and I certainly didn't plan on paying for the unagi. I moved with the efficiency of a crime scene cleaner. The moment the deadbolt clicked, I started a timer on my phone. 2 hours. That was my window before Qley returned with her broken artist. I didn't pack clothes first. I packed the leverage. I unplugged the 65-inch OLED TV I had bought for the Super Bowl 3 months ago. I boxed up the PS5 and the controllers, even the greasy one Marcus liked. I took the Dyson vacuum cleaner. Qley loved it, but I paid for it. I took the espresso machine that cost more than Marcus' entire wardrobe. I even took the high-thread count Egyptian cotton sheets off the bed, leaving the mattress bare. It wasn't about the objects. I didn't even really care about the TV. It was about the message. These weren't shared assets. They were subscriptions to a service she had just canceled by treating me like an ATM. I called the landlord, Mr. Henderson. He was an old-school guy who liked me because I actually fixed things instead of calling him for every leaky faucet. "Hey, Mr. Henderson, it's up. I'm moving out today." "Today? You're on the lease until August, son. I know. I'm transferring the full penalty fee to your account right now. 2 months' rent, but take my name off the lease effective immediately." Qley is staying. She'll be responsible for the rent moving forward. Does she know? She will in about 90 minutes, all right. If the money clears, I don't care who stays. But if she misses a payment, she's out. Understood. I transferred the money. It hurt to see that chunk of savings vanish. But I viewed it as a severance package, the price of freedom. Next, I called the utility companies. Power, water, internet, all in my name. I scheduled a disconnect for the following morning. I didn't want her to come home to a dark apartment. That seemed petty. I wanted her to wake up in a dark apartment. That seemed educational. By the 90-minute mark, the apartment looked like a skeleton. The walls were bare. The entertainment center was empty. The kitchen counters were stripped of the toaster, the blender, and the knife block. I packed 2 suitcases with my clothes, my laptop, and my documents. I left her stuff untouched. Her piles of fashion magazines, her yoga mats, her collection of crystals that were supposed to ward off bad energy. Ironically, they didn't seem to be working. I stood in the middle of the living room one last time. It echoed now. It felt cold. I walked to the kitchen counter. I took a piece of the heavy cream-colored cardstock Qley used for her affirmation notes and a thick black marker. I wrote the message clearly. No scribbles, no angry exclamation points, just facts. Marcus is single now. So are you. You can cheer each other up. I placed the note right next to the spot where she would expect the sushi to be. I put her apartment key on top of it. My phone buzz. A text from Qley. We're 10 minutes away. Marcus is feeling a little better, but he's starving. Did you get the Annie? Also, can you transfer me $200? I want to buy a bottle of tequila for the house. I didn't reply. I grabbed my suitcases, walked out the door, and locked it for the last time. I threw my bags into the back of the Uber Black I had waiting. Where to? The driver asked. International Terminal, I said, and can you play some music? Anything upbeat? As we pulled away from the curb, I saw Qley's Honda turning onto the street. I slouched down in the seat, watching them pass. I saw her silhouette in the driver's seat, animating a story with her hands. I saw Marcus in the passenger seat, looking out the window, looking bored. They had no idea they were driving into a disaster zone. The United Polaris Lounge is a quiet place. It smells like expensive cologne and silence. I was sitting in a leather armchair, a glass of scotch in one hand and a plate of buffet food in the other when the vibration started. I had set my phone to do not disturb, but I had left notifications on for favorites just in case of a family emergency. I watched the screen light up. Qley, 3 missed calls. Qley, 5 missed calls. Then the texts began to roll in. I unlocked the phone and watched them appear in real time like a news ticker of a collapsing civilization. Qley, 7:14 p.m. Where are you? Why is the TV gone? Qley, 7:15 p.m. Is this a joke? Did we get robbed? Qley, 7:18 p.m. Pick up the phone. This isn't funny. Qley, 7:22 p.m. My card got declined for the sushi delivery. You canceled the joint card. Marcus is hungry. I took a sip of scotch. The burn was pleasant. I imagined the scene. Marcus whining about his hunger while Qley frantically tried to swipe a piece of plastic that was now just a scraper for ice. Then came the silence, a 10-minute gap. She found the note. Qley, 7:35 p.m. You are a psychopath. Qley, 7:36 p.m. You left me like this because I wanted to help a friend. Qley, 7:38 p.m. Marcus is crying now, thanks a lot. He thinks this is his fault. I hope you're happy destroying 2 people's lives. Qley, 7:45 p.m. Where did you go? You can't just leave. We have a lease. I decided to break my silence with a single logistical update. I didn't want there to be any confusion about the legalities. I paid the lease break fee. The apartment is yours if you can pay the rent next month. If not, you have 30 days. Utilities cut off tomorrow at 8:00 a.m. Good luck. Then I blocked her number. It was like closing a blast door. The noise stopped instantly, but the blast radius was wide. Within minutes, the flying monkeys arrived. Sarah, Qley's friend. Wow, I always knew you were distant, but leaving Qley destitute. That's financial abuse, op. You need to send her money right now, Marcus. Via a new number, bro. Low blow. Qley is a mess. Be a man and come talk to her. Also, you took the PS5 that had my save files on it. I laughed out loud. A genuine belly laugh that made a businessman at the next table look over at me. Marcus wasn't worried about the rent or the woman crying on the floor. He was worried about his Elden Ring save file. I blocked Sarah. I blocked the new number. I boarded the plane to Tokyo an hour later. When the flight attendant asked if I wanted a pre-departure beverage, I asked for champagne. Celebrating something, she asked. Retirement, I said, from a job I didn't know I had. The next 10 days were a blur of neon lights, sashimi, and absolute peace. I walked through Shinjuku at midnight. I hiked in Hakone. I didn't check my email. I didn't look at social media. I felt lighter, physically lighter. I hadn't realized how heavy the burden of carrying Qley's emotional baggage and Marcus' actual baggage had been until I set it down. On my last night in Tokyo, I met up with Dave, an old college buddy of mine who was working there as an expat. We were at a tiny yakuri bar surrounded by smoke and noise. So Dave said, pouring me a sake, I heard from the grapevine back home. Oh yeah, Mike told me. Apparently it's a show. I leaned in. Do tell. Well, Dave grinned. You know how Qley always said Marcus was resourceful. Turns out his resourcefulness was just using your money. Without you, they folded in like a week. Did she pay the rent? No. She tried to get a roommate to cover your half. Guess who? Marcus. Bingo. Dave said he moved his stuff in, which was basically a duffel bag of dirty laundry. But here's the kicker. Marcus doesn't have a job, so now Qley is trying to support 2 adults in a downtown apartment on a junior marketing salary. Ouch, it gets better, Dave continued. Mike went over there to pick up a hoodie he left ages ago. He said the place is a disaster. No internet because neither of them paid the bill. They're tethering off their phones. And apparently Marcus brought a girl over. My eyebrows shot up. A girl while living with Qley. Yep. Some girl he met at a dive bar. He brought her back to your old apartment while Qley was at work paying the bills. Qley came home and found them eating her food. Let me guess, I said. Qley blamed me. Of course, Dave laughed. She told Mike that this is all your fault because you destabilized the environment. She said if you hadn't left, Marcus wouldn't be acting out. I shook my head, finishing my sake. She's never going to learn, is she? Nope, Dave said. But the good news is she's not your problem anymore. To the single life, he raised his glass. To the single life, I said, but I knew it wasn't over. Narcissists don't just let their supply walk away, they panic. They scramble. And eventually, when the money runs out and the reality sets in, they try to claw their way back. I checked my phone for the first time in days. In my blocked messages folder, there were 42 voicemails. She was getting desperate, and desperate people do entertaining things. It took 4 months for the silence to break. In that time, I had rebuilt my life with the same efficiency I used to dismantle our apartment. I found a new condo, a modern loft with exposed brick, and crucially a strict no guest for more than 3 days policy in the lease. I was going to the gym. I was saving money at a rate that was honestly shocking now that I wasn't feeding a family of 3 adults. I assumed Qley was gone for good. I assumed shame would keep her away, but I underestimated the selective memory of a narcissist. It started on a Tuesday afternoon. I received an email with the subject line Urgent Tax Documents /W2s. It was a smart way to bypass my spam filter. I opened it, expecting a forwarded PDF from our old accountant. Instead, I found a 2,000-word manifesto. There were no tax documents. Opie, it began. I know you're angry, you have every right to be, but ignoring me is childish. We built a life together and you walked away without a conversation. I skimmed the first few paragraphs. It was the standard best hits album of a manipulator. The guilt trip. I had to move back in with my parents. Do you know how humiliating that is at 27? The revisionist history. I never prioritized Marcus over you. I was just trying to be a good person. You punished me for having empathy. The trap. I just want to meet for coffee to get closure. I have some of your mail. Please, I didn't reply. 2 days later, the tactics shifted. She found me on LinkedIn. The one place I couldn't block her without her seeing. I viewed her profile. She sent a connection request with a note. He stole from me. Op, you were right. Please. I just need to talk to someone who understands. That one almost got me. Almost. The validation was tempting. He stole from me. Of course he did. A parasite doesn't stop eating just because the host changes. It just bites harder. I still didn't reply, but desperation is a powerful engine. A week later, I walked out of my office building at 5:30 p.m. I was heading toward the parking garage, checking my phone when a figure stepped out from behind a concrete pillar. "You look different," a voice said. I looked up. It was Qley. She looked diminished. That's the only word for it. The glowing, high-maintenance girl who used to spend hours on her skincare routine was gone. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun that wasn't stylish. It was just messy. She was wearing a coat I recognized, but it looked worn. She looked tired. Deeply, structurally tired. "Qley," I said. I didn't stop walking, but I slowed down. "How did you know I worked here?" "LinkedIn," she said, falling into step beside me. "You updated your profile. What do you want?" I told you closure. She tried to grab my arm, but I sidestepped it smoothly. She flinched at the rejection, and I wanted to tell you that you were right about everything. She stopped walking. I stopped a few feet away, keeping a safe distance. "Marcus is gone," she said, her voice trembling. "I kicked him out 2 months ago. He stole my debit card. He spent $600 on online gambling. When I confronted him, he told me I was being toxic and that I sounded just like you." She looked at me with wet, pleading eyes, waiting for me to say, "Oh, you poor thing. Come here." "Sounds like Marcus," I said simply. "I was so stupid," she cried, the tears starting to flow now. "I thought he was my best friend, but he just used me. He drained me emotionally, financially. I have nothing left." She took a step closer. "I miss you. I miss how safe I felt with you. I know I messed up, but we were a team. Can't we just grab a coffee, start over?" "No, Marcus, just us." We stood on the sidewalk, the city traffic rushing by. Passers-by glanced at us. A crying woman and a man in a suit standing 5 feet apart. It looked like a breakup scene from a movie, but the breakup had happened 4 months ago. This was just the autopsy. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I waited for the anger to flare up. I waited for the urge to scream at her, to list every time she had gaslit me. Every time she had made me feel small to make Marcus feel big, but nothing came. No anger, no sadness, no triumph, just boredom. "Qley," I said, my voice calm, "I'm not going to get coffee with you." "Why?" she sobbed. "Because you're still punishing me. Because you're too proud." "No," I said, "because I don't know you." She recoiled as if I'd slapped her. "What?" "We lived together for 2 years. I lived with a woman who treated me like a utility bill." I corrected her. "I lived with a woman who looked me in the eye and told me to pay for another man's vacation because my feelings mattered less than his ego." "I told you I was sorry about that," she shouted, her voice cracking. "I was manipulated. He made me feel like I owed him. And you made me feel like I owed you." I said, "You didn't respect me, Qley. You just respected what I provided. And the moment I stopped providing, you didn't chase after me. You chased after the money. You're only here now because the other host dried up." "That's not fair," she whispered. "I love you. You love the safety," I said. "You love the apartment. You love the fact that I solve problems, but I'm done solving your problems." She wiped her face, her expression hardening. The sadness was evaporating, replaced by the familiar entitlement. The mask was slipping. "So that's it," she snapped. "You're just going to leave me like this. I'm in debt. Opie, real debt. My credit score is tanked because of that apartment. You have a responsibility here." "I really don't." I said. "I paid the break fee. I gave you a choice. You chose to stay. You chose Marcus. You bet on the wrong horse. You are such a cold prick," she hissed. "I hope you end up alone." I laughed. It was a short, dry sound. "That's the funny thing, Qley," I said, checking my watch. "I've been alone for the last 4 months. Truly alone, and I have never been happier. I have money in the bank. I have peace and quiet. I don't have to apologize for existing in my own home." I turned toward the parking garage. "Wait," she called out, her voice desperate again. "Please, just can you loan me $500 just for rent? My parents are driving me crazy. I'll pay you back." I stopped and looked back at her one last time. "Ask Marcus," I said. Then I walked away. She screamed something after me, an insult or maybe a curse, but the sound of the city swallowed it up. I didn't look back. I walked into the cool concrete silence of the garage, got into my car, and drove home. That was 6 months ago. I haven't heard from Qley since. According to the grapevine Dave mostly, she's back in her childhood bedroom in the suburbs. She's working double shifts to pay off the credit card debt Marcus racked up in her name. She posts a lot of quotes on Instagram about toxic men and healing, but our mutual friends have mostly drifted away. It's hard to play the victim when everyone watched you hand the knife to the person who stabbed you. As for Marcus, he's doing what Marcus does. He found a new girl, some 19-year-old art student with a trust fund and low self-esteem. He's mentoring her. I give it 6 months before she wakes up and realizes her tuition money is going toward his Elden Ring DLCs. But that's not my problem. I'm currently sitting in the lounge at JFK. I'm waiting for a flight to the Swiss Alps. This time I'm not going alone. I'm going with a woman named Alina. We met at a bookstore 3 months ago. She's an architect too. When we booked this trip, I instinctively reached for my card to pay for both of us. Old habits die hard. Alina stopped my hand. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Getting the tickets," I said. She laughed and pulled out her own card. "I've got my own miles, thanks. We can split the hotel." I stared at her for a second, stunned. It was such a small thing, a basic, normal adult interaction. But after 2 years of being a wallet with a pulse, it felt like a revolution. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I smiled, putting my card away. "I'm great." I looked down at my phone one last time before switching it to airplane mode. No frantic texts, no demands, no drama. I thought back to that note I left on the counter. "Marcus is single now. So are you." It was the truest thing I ever wrote. But I left out the most important part. I was single too, and for the first time in my life I was free. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.